Shoot muted කියලා. මේක නෑ.
Okay, got it.
Good morning, Bhante.
All right, good morning. Now we minimize this.
Good morning, Bhante.
Good morning. Instead of minimizing, I maximize. Yellow button. You know, my vision is so poor. Okay. All right, Bill and Inoka. All right. Good morning.
Good morning, Bhante.
Okay. Yeah, I can hear now when they talk. Okay. All right, Kalina, you can start asking questions on behalf of everyone because this year we start either talk or answering questions first and then meditate.
Okay, Bhante.
Okay, can you read the question?
Yes, there is one question. Respected Bhante, is there a state in meditation during which there is no awareness? And when one comes out of it, there's also no memory of what it was, but which is not asleep.
During meditation, there is no awareness.
The person is describing a personal experience in which they have periods during the sitting meditation which are like blackouts with no awareness and no memory of what was going on during those times.
I see.
And then the person says that after such periods, they feel very relaxed, but they have no memory of what happened and maybe no awareness during those times.
Surely there will not be memory in when you come out of meditation because you are not aware of what is going on because you are sleeping. And when you sleep, you don't know what has happened during your meditation. If you are awake, it is impossible for you not to remember what went through your mind during meditation. Because meditation simply does not mean blocking your mind of mental activities like seeing, rising, falling, appearing, disappearing, impermanence, and all this you definitely see in the first in as a gross level, then it becomes very, very subtle level. And therefore you cannot say that you don't remember anything. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Bhante. The next question. In one of your books, the Buddhist suttas for recitation, this might be the Bhavana Vandana book, the section on sharing loving friendliness, it says, may I also have patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties, problems, and failures in life. So this is one passage, Bhante, in your books.
Yeah.
So the question is, Can you please speak about how we meet these things in our minds and how we can develop patience for these meetings in the mind?
Okay. Especially when you meditate on loving friendliness, you must have patience to continue your practice without any disturbance. When you don't have patience, you jump to a wrong conclusions. Sometimes you feel you can develop metta to certain people, not for certain other people. That kind of discrimination you can avoid if you have metta, real metta, and real deep patience. And also metta practice help you to tolerate any person's shortcomings. In the metta practice, one has to, I have not explained all these things there. If you take your metta sutta in Vandana book, particularly Karaniya Metta Sutta, the sutta of practicing loving friendliness, discourse, you can see you have to have certain qualities within yourself to practice metta. If you don't have those qualities within yourself, your metta practice would simply be not effective, not meaningful. You have to be able to sakko, uju, you must be straight, suju, straight, additionally straight, mudu, soft, anatimani, not what you call proud, up, gabbo, that means you are gentle, soft, not arrogant. Then you are not, that means you are not impudent. You are not attached to certain families, and so forth. These are the qualities that one has to develop in order to practice metta. Being patient is one of those requirements. I think that answers the question.
Thank you, Bhante. The next question is, can you combine Anapanasati with Vipassana together at the same time while meditating?
In fact, Anapanasati is the real meditation for both tranquility and insight. When you, I think I have explained it earlier, when you see impermanence of everything, you practice mindfulness, impermanence. Impermanence of your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and your sight, sound, smell, taste, touch and mind objects, your feeling, perception and so forth. All this, plus whatever around you, your breath, environment, temperature, and so forth. All these are constantly changing. They are changing. So you develop perception of impermanence of everything. When you develop this perception of impermanence of everything, there is not one single object that can excite you, or that can depress you, that can make you unhappy. So everything is equal. Everything is equal. When you see this equality of everything, you gain concentration. You become equanimous. Equanimity is a part of concentration, especially in the attainment of the fourth jhana. Equanimity and mindfulness both are purified, and you can gain both from mindfulness of breathing. And therefore, you don't have to make a special effort to combine. It naturally happens to you when you develop, as I mentioned, the meditation on breathing, or for mindfulness of breathing, exactly the way the Buddha has explained. Then you cannot go wrong. You cannot deviate from the attainment of these two states, tranquility and insight. It naturally guides you to that attainment. So you don't have to make a special effort. Okay?
Okay, Bhante, thank you. The next question. Sometimes when the person meditates, there are slow movements in the body, like swaying the body front or back. Is this due to the movement of the awareness? Or is it due to rapture?
Now,
What is the reason for those movements of the body, Bhante?
what is the reason for slow movement?
Let's say if the person's body is swaying back and forth or side to side. When a person is meditating, sometimes the body moves.
Yeah?
So what is the reason for those movements?
I see. As you breathe in and out, that breath, the movement of breath, moves your body back and forth. You fall into a sort of a rhythm of breathing, and that rhythm is manifested through the movements of the body. And therefore it is rather better than falling asleep and moving, falling forward and backward over and over again. Instead of that, if the body is, moving like a pendulum, sideways as you breathe in and out, that is involuntary movement caused by the breathing movement. So one doesn't have to be concerned about it. Okay?
Okay.
Is it a sign of lack of concentration?
Not lack of concentration. Some question. Somebody asked me, is it lack of concentration? Concentration is there. This happened unconsciously because of the movement of the breath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Bhante. There is one other question. it's a bit long, so and it's a bit difficult for me to understand, but I'll try to do my best. If the person would like to rephrase the question, that would be fine, but I will see what I can do. Sometimes when the person meditates and they get very quiet, they begin to experience that the skin also breathes along with the lungs, the actual skin. There is a perception of the skin breathing. The person feels that they're breathing through their skin. Can you explain a little bit that phenomenon? Is this like an imagination, or is this a useful perception? What does one need to, how can one make use of this phenomenon?
Is a question?
Yeah, there is a question, and the question is, Bhante, in the chat box for everyone. You're also able to see it, but it is the last question for everyone.
Can the experience of this insight phenomenon during practice, that's one?
That is the one. That entire section is the question.
Service to mind, making use of the organ of imagination, not fantasy. That the share the open space within breath, body brings together elemental air, sphere, spiritually.
Spirituality. Spiritual.
Spirituality, okay.
Spiritually.
Elemental air, sphere, spirituality.
Spiritually.
I don't know what is this air, sphere, spirituality, but I can say when one meditates, one wants to develop the awareness of impermanence of everything in the person's personality. We use the awareness of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness and selflessness of 32 parts of the body. Most of these 32 parts are internal, inside. Outwardly we can see only 5. Head, hair, body hair, nail, teeth and skin. These are the things that we can see. And we can see them changed over a period of time, and these changes that are expressed outwardly have started within oneself, inside, which we cannot see, but we can imagine or visualize that in a part like flesh, bone marrow, and kidneys, liver, diaphragm, heart, lungs, and so forth, bile, what you call intestine, undigested food and so forth, we can at least imagine. And as they are functioning, we live. The function means changing. They are not static. They always change. And that we have to understand. We have to mentally imagine or visualize these parts as changing all the time. That we can do. And it is said that just like a glass ball, when something is inside the glass ball, you can see from outside the ball, you can see what is inside. This is the simile we most of the time we read in Buddhist literature. Your inner parts become so crystal clear to you that they appear to you like sometimes it's called something crystal ball you take into a palm and look at it with bright under bright light, with your good eyesight, you can see everything inside of the ball, glass ball, crystal ball. Similarly, when we develop this visualizing, now when I sometimes hesitate to use the word visualizing because sometimes people can visualize outward things, UFO, or going to space, going to the moon. Not this kind of visualizing. Not visualizing anything outside, but visualizing everything inside us. And visualizing them vibrating, changing all the time. That is recommended, and that is possible, and from that we get the insight into the reality of seeing external changes. Our head hair turned grey because of internal changes like that. Our skin became wrinkled, generally wrinkled, because inner changes of the protein, vitamin, mineral and so forth that slowly, gradually depletes, and then the skin becomes, we can see the wrinkles. I cannot explain it scientifically, biologically, but we can imagine that outward appearance of the skin has been taking place inside our body. And that kind of imagination we can do. It is permissible. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante. The next question is, Venerable Bhante, can I count the breath forward and backwards to 10?
Can I?
Count the breath. When the person breathes in and out, can they do counting of the breath to 10?
Counting at the same time, back and forth, up to 10, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that is recommended in order to keep the mind focused on the breath. It is recommended counting in several ways. One is counting very quickly up to 5 or 10. And then another counting is, that quick counting is called farmer's counting. Farmer who measures grain. He has a measure and there's a bag of grain, and you put some certain measurements, some grain into another bag. So you dip into one bag and then say, and then while bringing it to the other bag, you count 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then empty it to the other bag, and then bring the bag, the container, the measure to the original one, and then count 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, like that, so that he will not forget the measurement. Since there was no computers or abacus or anything, they had to do all mentally. In order to do that, they had to repeat the counting. Similarly, when we breathe in, we count until the breath, lungs are full, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, when then the lungs are full, again we breathing out, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then second breath, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, up to 5. So that the mind will be, logged into the counting. That's second way of counting. Third way of counting is counting from 1 to 10 and backward. 10, 9, and so forth. And then second time from 1 to 9 and backward. Third time from 1 to 8 and back. And so forth, you count several times. Then one time you may lose your count. Mind still begin to wander here and there. Then you remember you have been counting and mind began to wander when you were at 7. Then when you return to 7, you really don't know whether to go from 7 to 8 or 7 to 6. So you get confused. And then you start all over again from 1. Like that, in this way, you combine your counting with the breath. Oh, you count the breath. You count the breath in order to keep the mind focused on the breathing. Eventually, if you go beyond 10, you keep counting, and forget the breath. In this way, control counting, you can eventually forget and mind remains on the breath. Okay, so counting from 4 and back to 10 is okay.
Thank you, Bhante. The next question, the person is asking how to overcome resistance to meditation.
How to overcome?
Resistance to sitting down for meditation, because they say that sometimes they're ready to sit to meditate, but instead of meditating, the mind wants to do all kinds of other things.
Yes. So that is what we suggest. They are called hindrances. Hindrances, you call them hindrances. To overcome them, first hindrance is greed. In order to overcome that hindrance, you have to focus the mind on unattractiveness of the object. Secondly, you have to overcome impermanence of that particular object that you are attached to. For instance, you have a desire to see objects, hear sounds, smell various smelling things. You want to taste various things. You have a desire for taste, a desire for touch. And when you have this particular desire, you have to think of impermanence of that particular sight. that sight is impermanent as outside object, as well as your memory of that sound is impermanent. When you see an object, next moment you may have something else in your mind, then that object you will forget. And next object, and next object, and next object. So the object that you have seen, this particular sight, themselves change. That the changes of outside objects is not easy to notice, but you can see the changes in your own experience, in your own mind. So see that object is impermanent that you saw. And sound is even better. When you hear a sound, when you pay attention to the sound, that sound is coming as sound waves, and these waves are changing. Then the smell also comes as various, molecular, they're made of molecules, and these molecules come through the air into a nose and go inside, and there it changes very quickly. Taste also, as you taste something, as it goes through the taste buds, as soon as they pass taste buds, that taste is not there. So you can experience impermanence there. And the touch also like that. So, in order to get rid of desire, the first hindrance, you must see impermanence very clearly. The second hindrance is greed, hatred. As I mentioned, practice metta and think of danger of anger. Think of danger means that you yourself become very unhappy, unpleasant, your face is unpleasant, your taste is unpleasant, you cannot see people with your clear eyes, with your friendly eyes. Every time you see something that you don't like, there arise very bad mental state, and you have to when you experience all these things, you remember, in the past I had this pain when I experienced this unpleasant thing. Even now it is happening. In future it will happen. So I must let it go, forget it, practice metta. Third is sleepiness and drowsiness, we mentioned. In order to overcome sleepiness and drowsiness, we must visualize bright light. And that is one place visualization is highly recommended. Visualize very bright light to overcome sleepiness and drowsiness. Then restlessness and worry, we have to focus the mind again and again on the breath. In order to overcome doubt, we have to have the confidence and trust in the Buddha. Buddha's enlightenment, trust. And we have to trust the Dhamma. We have to trust instructions. And we have to trust ourselves in order to overcome doubt. So these are the ways of using to overcome our hindrances. Okay?
Bhante, these are the hindrances during meditation. These are the hindrances during meditation.
During meditation, yes.
During meditation. But what if the person has a very hard time to even sit down to meditate?
Yeah. Even sit down to meditate. When one sits down to meditate,
the person wants to meditate, but they're not able to. They get distracted with all kinds of other things. They cannot even sit down to meditate. What should they do?
Doesn't have to sit down to meditate. While, engaging conversation with somebody, pay attention to your mind. And this is called daily mindfulness practice. When you have a conversation, discussion, suddenly your ego come to front, and then immediately become aware of this is impermanent, there is no such thing as permanent self, and if I promote my ideas, what do I gain? I don't gain any iota of peace, happiness. I rather boost my ego. The more I boost my ego, more painful it is for me, because everybody else is not going to respect my ego. And therefore it is I who suffer, not them. So during conversation we can remove it. Any hindrance, greed, when you talk with greed, everybody can notice this is a very greedy person. We don't want to associate with him. They will shun him. They don't want to be friendly with that person. He is simply trying to grab things. He is not going to let go of anything. Hatred. Nobody likes a hating person. So not only sitting in meditation, but outside meditation, outside sitting, you can use the same techniques to overcome your hindrances. The techniques you use during meditation can be used after meditation to overcome same hindrances.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
The next question is, sometimes when I notice the gap in between the in and out breath and vice versa, there is a feeling of emptiness. How do I make sense of it? It feels peaceful.
A feeling of emptiness, sometimes some people feel depressed. They have been ill-treated. Sometimes as they are growing up, parents might say, you are good for nothing. You can do anything. You are always a failure. And so forth and so on. Parents put these ideas into their mind and make them feel like worthless person. Or sometimes associates, sometimes teachers make that kind of very negative remarks. So the person will take them seriously and think, yes, I'm worth for nothing. I remember somebody, young man, went to a university in America. His parents from another country. When he was in the class, somebody suddenly told him, just as a joke, told him that, hey, man, your hand is short. From that time onward, he felt his hand is short. So he came home and began to blame his parents, and parents could not convince him that his hand was not short. So the parents brought the boy to me and asked me to help him. And I told him, your hands are not short. They are normal. No, you're also supporting my parents. So he went on. Several times he came to see me. Each time I said, your hands are normal, not short. Then finally he said, I have a solution. I go to a doctor, ask him to cut my legs, to make my legs short, so that my legs and hands are, equal. I said, don't be foolish. If you cut your legs and shorten them, one day somebody tell you, hey, your neck is long. What are you going to do? You cut your neck to make it short. So these are the ideas that you people put into people's minds. And therefore, feeling empty is your own imagination, negative imagination. So in order to, and also you think how to make it, make sense of it. It feels peaceful if you feel peaceful. That peacefulness is not also real. You experience peacefulness through seeing the reality. When you see the reality, then you see that I don't have any greed, hatred, delusion. This mind is free from all of them, and you experience real peace at that time. But all of a sudden, if you feel empty and then feel peaceful, that is not any achievement. Okay?
Okay, Bhante. The next
Any other question?
the person says that they're very busy. They have very few duties and a lot of time, that they meditate several hours a day, but also experience a lot of boredom and monotony in daily life. The person would like to feel that emptiness, and they hope to learn to see and appreciate the peace in it.
Yeah?
But it's difficult. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, if you feel empty and then at the same time feel peaceful. Which question is that?
We don't have it.
This is a direct question, Bhante. It's only addressed to me. Shall I read it one more time?
Yeah?
I can read it one more time. I am not a very busy person. I have few duties and a lot of free time. I meditate several hours a day, but I also experience a lot of boredom and monotony in daily life. I like to expose myself to this emptiness, and I hope to learn to see and appreciate the peace in that emptiness.
Right.
But this is difficult. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, my advice is especially you have plenty of time to meditate, and you feel when you are meditating it is sometimes boring, monotonous, because you are not dealing with certain meditation technique, objects. For instance, if you use the breath as an object of meditation, that will not make you tired or feel have boredom. It will open more and more areas in your mind to see the reality more clearly. For instance, you are aware of various negative mental states disappearing from your mind, various negative mental states disappearing from your mind. As they disappear, wholesome mental states arise in you. One example is the faith, saddha, Saddha arises from knowing, seeing, understanding things. That is called faith endowed with knowledge. Faith endowed with knowledge. In Pali called avecca prasada. Avecca is having understood, having known, having realized the truth. Prasada means faith. So avecca prasada means faith endowed with knowledge. When faith endowed with knowledge arises, then joy arises with that. Faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Karma, rebirth, dependent origination, impermanence, these are real things. These are real things. And we have to have a real deep faith in them through understanding, and then joy arises. Especially in Upanishad, there's a discourse called Upanishad Sutta. Joy arises from suffering, because suffering is a real thing. When we see it in reality, then you will be very delightful that you see the truth. And therefore, that is a way of overcoming that boredom, that monotony, and proceed with real peace deeply rooted in your mind. Peace rooted in your mind. I think this may be enough, as a session of questions and answers. This morning we need sometimes to meditate and see how it happens when we meditate. All these that I mentioned, you can experience, and then not all of them, some of them you experience, some of them you may not experience at all, but let us do some practice. Okay?
Thank you, Bhante.
Now we go to our regular metta recital. Okay? Okay. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere, neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, without hatred or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down, or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness This is called divinely dwelling here, not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desire for sensual pleasures. One comes never again to birth in the womb. So with this metta thought, let us continue our practice. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish, may I join always with the wise, until the time I attain Bhavana. May the suffering be free from suffering, may the fear-struck be free from fear, may the grieving be free from grief, so too may all beings be, from the highest realm of existence to the lowest. May all beings arisen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Friends, this is the end of today's session, and I want to share our metta with everybody. As I repeat every day, at the end of every session, may all those who are in hospitals, suffering from various ailments, various diseases, and taken care of by doctors, nurses, and hospital staffs, may they recover soon and return to normal health, continue their Dhamma practice, and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. May all the doctors and nurses and hospital staffs who very compassionately taking a lot of risks and sacrificing their comfort and peace, helping these people to recover and return to normal health. May they continue their compassionate work, and they too practice Dhamma and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. May those who have been grief-stricken or after their departing their loved ones, may they be relieved from that grief and continue their Dhamma practice and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. Those who are in various places undergoing all kind of problems, atrocities, wars, crimes, discriminations, may they all be free from all these unfortunate states and liberate themselves from samsaric suffering. May those who have who caused pain and suffering to others, may they have compassion and understanding to realize our nature of existence, and they understand Dhamma and help people to live in peace and harmony and attain liberation. All those who are supporting various projects to help people in many ways, may they continue their generous support and practice Dhamma and attain liberation. And overall, everyone, without any exception, be well, happy and peaceful and attain liberation from samsaric suffering. Thank you. Let me end the session.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Saranai
Thank
Bhante.
Thank you, Kalina.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Sadhu,
Hi,
sadhu,
Kalina.
sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante.